Hello folks, my name's Matt, I'm from Voice Hacker, and today we're here to look at some of the most common, or at least one of the most common lisps that you can have, I think, in the British accent. And it's a funny word, lisps, because a lisp, you think of it as something that's very, very difficult to change, and very, very something that can trouble you through your whole life, really. And I really think of lisps as something totally different. For me, a lisp is one sound being replaced by another sound. And the sound we're looking at today is the TH sound. So, for instance, in the word this. Now, I've got this up because I'm just going to do a little bit of phonetics as well, by the way, for anyone who's interested. Got the sound. And this word, this, it's a rather tricky one because some people can lisp, quote unquote, this word in many different ways. They can say this or this. In other words, dis with a D or this. This with a V. And you notice that's not quite the sound we're looking for. All we're looking for is a the. Another one that's really common is this, oh, for God's sake, here we go, is think. Think. And this kind of looks like this. Think. And so some people will say, tink. I think that's true, you know. I think that's true. Whereas we could say, think. And you notice the difference here, because the big difference is really the placement of the tongue. The tongue on the th and the is placed right on the teeth. Th. If you take a finger like this and hold it up to your mouth and go th, you'll notice that as you do that, your tongue is kind of licking your finger, right? Th, and the. And so that little feeling of the tongue coming out, touching the teeth, and creating that bit of friction, that's how you create the sound properly. Or that's how you create the sound as we're looking at it. So that's kind of what we're looking at. So in words like another, anything, something, all of these words have a little the sound in. Ah, for God's sake, I did it again. A little th sound. And this sound is created by this tongue moving forward. But you notice that if we were to say another, the tongue has still come forward, it's still touching the teeth, but it's just not quite creating the right sound. So the way that we do that is by creating friction on the sound. If you take your hands and go like this, just rub them together, you can feel friction coming from them. And when you rub them like this and go the, you can feel that there's friction being created with your hands and friction being created on the tongue and between the teeth. The. Very good. Th. So that's a nice little way that you can start getting this TH in order, is instead of doing it like a da or a va, then making it with friction and with the tongue in the correct place. One more thing on the V's and the F's is that little va, fa, it's actually made with the lips instead of the tongue. You notice va. So it's anything, virtually. Another. Something. So you notice there, fa, it's all about the lips doing the work instead of the tongue. So all we need to do is go another, anything, something. And that TH will start to get into gear. If you're looking at this and you're maybe a foreign language student, you're not quite sure when you say the TH, it's kind of simple really. The TH, whenever you write down a TH, that's pretty much virtually every time you see a TH written down, you'll say one, except in a couple of examples. So for instance, Theresa May, Theresa, you won't say it then. You won't say it when you say the River Thames, and you won't say it when you're in a gap year and you go to Thailand. So those three are really crucial. Now let me quickly zoom into a piece of text. Can you see this all right? Yeah. Now what we're going to do, I'm going to read this through and you're just going to listen along to me, and I'm going to highlight when we're saying these THs. So we'll go from here. The US has agreed not to repeat claims the UK's Communications Intelligence Agency wiretapped Donald Trump during the presidential election campaign. You notice that if I was lisping these, it might sound like the US has agreed not to repeat claims of the UK's Communications Intelligence Agency wiretapped Donald Trump during the presidential election campaign. You get the idea. GCHQ rejected allegations made by White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer that it spied on Mr. Trump as nonsense. Number 10 has now been assured by Mr. Spicer that he would not repeat the accusation. He would not repeat the accusation. A spokesman for Prime Minister Theresa May, there you go, we don't say the th in this one, had said it had been made clear to US authorities the claims were ridiculous and should have been ignored. GCHQ also rejected the allegations as utterly ridiculous. The unusual move by the agency, here we go, to comment on the news came after Mr. Spicer cited claims first made on US TV channel Fox News earlier this week. Mr. Trump said that Trump Tower in New York was under surveillance, but has provided no evidence for the claim. The allegations of GCHQ involvement were initially made by former judge Andrew Napolitano, like the ice cream. Mr. Spicer quoted Mr. Napolitano as saying 3 intelligence sources have informed Fox News that President Obama went outside the chain of command. You notice that many of these THs are going to be on the sound, so the allegations this week, that, the. But some tend to be in longer words, such as authorities, and 3, I'd say. But yeah, they're fairly common sound. You know, this is not a sound that we've got to look hard for. It tends to be in lots and lots of small words. So if you feel like you're lisping, then make sure your tongue is touching the right area and that you're creating that lovely friction that we're looking for. So I've been Matt from VoiceHacker. You can come get lessons with me at matt@voicehacker.co.uk. We do lessons on Skype. I've Skyped to dozens of countries all across the world, and I hope really to see you soon.